Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today you're getting our first impressions of the new releases from blessthefall, 1056, and Tala. So we're covering a couple bands that we have never covered on the channel, and Tala, which we have covered on the channel several times with album reviews and reactions and so forth. So I'm gonna open the floor with blessthefall because that's what I started my day with. This is a metalcore band. They go back quite a ways because I remember listening to this band. I feel like it was 10 or 15 years ago. Like I feel like it was a while ago. I don't exactly remember when. I think these guys are the early, like maybe pioneer metalcore band.
I mean, their first album was 2007. So
Yeah,
like, they
there you
were
go.
there in like the old school original days of the genre developing.
Okay, so I don't know if I go that far back, but maybe 2008, 2009. I got a couple other albums because I tried to get into them when I was, metalcore was blowing up back then. So I didn't really remember much of them though. Like it's been a long time since I put on blessthefall. So I put it on and immediately it kind of like became familiar. Okay, this is the type of metalcore that's got some nice riffing. It's got some nice breakdowny kind of stuff. And then there's the mixture of the harsh and the clean vocals. And the clean vocals are kind of ones that I usually don't like, but for some reason in this band, I kind of tolerate them a little bit. I'm not exactly sure why. I'd be making up a reason if I tried to explain it, but for some reason, it just doesn't bother me on here like it does with other bands. Whatever that is, why that is, I don't know. So the song, the album starts off, it's called Gallows, by the way. Let's just say it. The album's called Gallows.
In all caps.
In all caps.
But the band's name is lowercase.
And all one word.
And one word.
So the first song is Mall X Core, all one word. And this song just sounds like its title to me. Like it just sounds like mall kids would like this. I mean, I was a mall kid back in my day, so I kind of felt like it felt familiar in a way.
I was kind of going the other direction. I'm like, this is mall X core, whatever, mall core. I'm like, you know what? I want it to sound like elevator music. Like that kind of like, the vaporwave mall kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously it wouldn't, but thought that'd be funny.
So yeah, overall, I think this album was kind of like a decent enough, just straight up metalcore, classic metalcore type of album. Some highlights for me, the second song, Wake the Dead, I thought was, a cool song just to kind of not open the album, but at the beginning kind of give a little punch to the album. I thought that was pretty good. And track number 3 was also good. It has a bit of a reggaeton kind of rhythm to it. Not exactly, but it's catchy, but for me, sort of in a cringy way. And that sounds a little bit harsh, but it's like I kind of liked it, but I didn't want to like it. I don't know. And then I thought track number 5, Drag Me Under, featuring Alpha Wolf, was another song that had a bit of a bite to it, which is just something that, when I'm listening to an album and I notice a song or something that just kind of just has a little bit more punch to it, it kind of just, it matters to me. So the few of those songs kind of stood out. But overall, I think it's a fine album. It's good for metalcore fans. If you like that style of metalcore, and I think it does the job. And these guys have been around for a while. They know what they're doing, and they have their fan base, and I think they are playing strong to that audience. And I think those people will be happy with it.
It definitely does deliver to people who enjoy this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like 100,000 million%. If you like, the foundations of the fundamentals, especially of modern metalcore, you're gonna get that here. For me, I wasn't really huge on this album. Now, I never really checked this band out or really know much about them before before checking them out today. I looked into it like, okay, they're one of the OGs basically. They're from way back when. So, but I click play and I kind of already think like, okay, this is just like a lot of the other metalcore albums that I hear today.
Yeah.
So I was really struggling to write a lot of notes for this record because I'm like, there's not much here that I have not heard before.
It doesn't stand out, no.
No, and I've had this criticism of metalcore even earlier this year. And that is also to say that there's been some phenomenal metalcore albums this year as well. From OG bands, mind you. So, it's not to say like, oh, metalcore, blah, blah, blah. It's just there's kind of a brand of metalcore that I think is very popular, understandably so, especially this band being popular. I just feel that, similar to the criticisms we've had of deathcore, kind of just becomes a little dime a dozen, kind of just becomes a little stale feeling. And that's just for me, for you, watching, for you, it's different, right? Everyone will feel differently about different things different ways. So I couldn't really write much. I did like Drag Me Under, which is the Alpha Wolf feature, which makes sense. I like Alpha Wolf. But I actually kind of like the melody and the chorus from that one as well. So that is probably the main song that really stood out to me.
Yeah.
But there wasn't really much that stood out to me on this album overall other than that. But I do think fans of this sound, it's like, you like this type of burger, they make that type of burger, so you're gonna like that burger no matter what. You know?
Yeah. That's fair. So let's move along. The second band that we've never covered on the channel, so we're kind of cracking an egg here, 1056. Not unfamiliar with the band. I've listened to them before. I've checked them out, but never put on an album. This is my first kind of dive into an album. The album's called I.O., or Input Output, however you'd want to phrase that. And I enjoyed this. I thought it was pretty good. It's got some nice raw aggression. It's this band's kind of billed as a deathcore band, but I kind of pocket them in the newcore kind of subgenre.
It
only
is
because they have a lot of new metal elements in their music.
Yeah,
it's there. You can't really deny it. They have it's just that there's a bit of rap on there, just to put that out there straight up. We're kind of, but it's not even that. There's a lot of I call it new metal bounce, and that's just kind of my own thing that I say about it. I don't know if that translates to other people and makes sense in a way, but new metal to me is a genre that has a certain bounce to it, and when I hear that in other music, I make that connection. So this has that new metal bounce, but also definitely has that deathcore vibe, and it's more on the core side than the death metal side as far as that emergence of genre goes. But overall, it's an enjoyable album. I had a really good time listening to it. Pig, which is track number 2, it's a good example of a song that has that new metal type of aggression to it. Number 5, I Know Where You Sleep. This song is 1 minute and 31 seconds long, but it gets right to the point. It's short and sweet. And I really liked the, it's the bridge section. Some people might call it a breakdown. Some people might call it a beat down. Either way, it sounded rad. I just like that, I guess, third act of the song into the outro. Track number 8 is called I See You. This one has a little bit more of that rap type of approach, which is giving me that new core vibe again. And track number 9 is a track that stood out. It's called Pity Fuck with no vowels, just PTY space FCK. I thought this was a standout track, and I listened to it a couple times trying to figure out why it was standing out to me, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, but there was something in the music or the beat or the rhythm or something that was happening where it sounded like they were saying the name of the song quietly in the background, and I thought that was kind of cool. It was a nice little touch, and it just was a cool song overall for me. So I was actually pretty impressed by it. I will definitely give it more listens. And it was good stuff from 1056 for me.
Yeah, this is a band that I never listened to much, but I've heard of. I heard the name here and there, so that when I saw that they're dropping an album, this is their second album, by the way, only second one.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh yeah, let's jump in, and I liked it quite a bit. I think, like I've said with metalcore, and even already mentioned with deathcore, there is a lot of similar kind of samey stuff. This breaks that mold. I think this is one of the better deathcore records of the year. And when you say, the new metal bounce, it's the kind of thing where they basically, it's the way they kind of groove, and it's the kind of thing you hear in a lot of new metal, especially ones that are on the more hip hop side. So Korn's there, Limp Bizkit's there, those ones.
Yeah.
You either get that or you get the super duper fast crazy ones like Slipknot. Those are your two brands of new metal that you usually get. So I think not only that though, there were the rap and electronic influences in there as well, which is cool because if you were to continue down that pipeline, you get bands like Filth, which are a lot more dedicated to the rap aspect of that applied to deathcore. Yeah. So it's kind of cool how this band and this album is midway on the pipeline to getting there, right? So if you're someone who struggles with, rap elements in stuff like deathcore, this would be a good kind of gateway or bridge
ease
album.
You into it.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point.
So, and there's a few points where I write, oh, this is a juicy groove, this one's nice, and I was really getting into it. And then that's obviously a good sign for an album when it can kind of turn your head oh yeah, what do they got going on here? So yes, I Know Where You Sleep is amazing. I think it's too short because I loved it.
Yeah, it's the shortest song on the album minus the interlude.
I was about to say, let's get to that interlude, which is lifeisachore.mov, which is basically a YouTube ad, which is hilarious because as soon as it played, I'm like, I have Spotify Premium. What the fuck
Is it actually a YouTube ad or is it just?
Well, it's not like a real ad. Like if you hear it, it's like, oh, with this simple step, you don't have to worry about life ever. Like it's basically a parody of YouTube ads. But it caught me off guard for a second. I'm like, what the hell? Why is there an ad play?
I questioned if it was AI only because it reminded me a lot of Girl to Girl Productions, which is an AI band that they have an album and it's and the voice and the whole presentation, the sound really reminded me of that. It's AI, but I just jokingly I love that album. It's so funny, but that's what it reminded me of. So I just wondered if it was. Maybe it's not, but just that thought was in my mind.
I mean, whether it is or isn't, I think
I don't care.
It's a great parody of YouTube ads that you usually hear. Like, so I love that, and then bam, they just drop the hammer with "I Know Where You Live," which is awesome. So like I'm listening to this ad thing, I'm like, what's going on? So that's another cool piece of uniqueness that this album has.
Yeah.
Now, a song like Friends is like an angry rap track, kind of like some of the stuff Kim Dracula would do. But then you have the title track, which is straight up basically like a hip hop track, which I like. You know, I think it's a cool and interesting album that does have those influences in some songs more than others. But like overall, quite good. I think it is one of the better deathcore releases of the year.
Cool. All right, on to the last album of the day. Primeval Obsession Detachment by Tala. Now, Tala is on the toe tag list already with Metrifugy.
Yeah.
Didn't quite make it with the Generation of Danger.
Almost did. It was
Almost
close.
did, very close. But this is a band we both love a lot. These guys are very unique. They have a special sound. And we were just talking about this before we started recording this video, that Tala's the kind of band that sounds so consistent all the time, but still sounds different all the time. And that's something that we're always looking for in a band that can stay true to themselves, but also surprise us.
Yeah.
Right? So this album, for me, again, on a first listen, it didn't disappoint in that aspect. I think there's a lot of things on this album that kind of wowed me, and I was like, whoa, okay, they're doing that now. Like, we reacted to all the singles, so we kind of we knew what we were getting into. All the singles were bangers.
Yeah, there were 4 that we checked out.
Just to put it out there, yeah, they were all bangers. We loved them all when we reacted. Some better than others, of course. But just to, what we know is, I think that was like the first single we reacted to, I think.
That was the first one that they dropped.
Yeah, it was the first one they dropped, yeah.
And it's the first, track of the album after the intro.
Exactly. And I think it's a great idea to put that as the first song.
Especially with the way that 501, the transition from that into what we know is so good.
It's super clean, super smooth, and I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of better transitions on any other album than there was on this album. Some of the transitions on this album are really, really clean. And that just goes to show good editing, good planning, good everything. But in what we know, I think I made this comment before, but if I didn't, I'm gonna say it now. The melodies and the vocals on this song are so nice. And it's not like super melodic or anything like that. It's not subtle either, but it just really captivates me. And I just really wanna listen to it more when it's on. So it's really cool. I'm not gonna mention specific song or specific part, just the bass on this album. And we mentioned this in our reactions as well. The bass is just so nice. It's so, and I say this word a lot, but it's just juicy. It's just fucking juicy.
Just through the mix and the performance of Max moving over to bass.
Primo stuff. So I'm not gonna talk a lot about it because we're gonna review the album. So I'm gonna say one more thing that I thought was really cool, and then TV Fish can tell you his first impressions. Track number 5, My Primeval Obsession, ended with this dead sounding kick drum, just going like doo, 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 doo. I don't even know if I'm doing the right tempo or anything like that, but I just remember it was something like that. And it goes right into the next song, plays for a while into that next song, and then that song just changes up. The next song's called Lacuna, and it's stylized in weird font. That song I thought was so fucking weird in a way, it kept reminding me of things that I shouldn't have been reminded of, like Nirvana, Korn, Radiohead. I was getting bit of Karma Police and Something in the Way, but if it was performed by Korn, it was really throwing my brain through a weird mix. And yeah, you're doing the face.
I'm
and
only
I do that
because I really love Karma Police, so I want to listen to that again with that in mind now.
So you love Radiohead in general. I know Radiohead's hits. So
Yeah.
I'm not a deep diver in Radiohead. So when I'm thinking of Radiohead, I'm automatically going to think of Karma Please because that's their big song, right?
It's not the number one, but it's one of them.
At least one of them, yeah. So when I was listening to this, I was going, this is giving me like a Radiohead vibe, and then Karma Please came into my head. So, and the cool thing though, on the next track, A Primeval Detachment, that kick drum thing comes back again. And it goes for a bit, and then the song just gets ruckus. And it's probably one of the more progressive songs on the album, and it just kind of goes in a lot of different ways, but it done so very well. The creativity of this band is off the charts, and the performances of all the band members seems to be on par with their previous records, which is top notch. And I've only listened to it once, and I can't imagine further listens doing anything but impressing me more. So I'm looking forward to hearing it more, for sure.
Primeval Detachment is one of the singles we reacted to. That was the one, the video where they had a bunch of people under this bridge in Chicago.
Yeah.
And they went crazy.
Yeah.
Regarding that kick drum, it was funny because as soon as I heard it in my Primeval Obsession at the end, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where this is going.
Yeah.
Because I remember it being the same kick that was happening at the start of Primeval Detachment. I loved how it would go, but then the kick in Lacuna. So from what I already know about, like, you know, just this double kick basically walking, is that in a Primeval Detachment, like, okay, I know that it's this duple meter or whatever, but then when it goes into Lacuna, it's a triple meter, and I'm like, oh, that's so clever. And then it turns into the duple on the, you know, when you get to the second half of the album, which this album is basically almost a palindrome of itself. You know, first track relates to last track, second, third, fourth. Like they do that. Mm-hmm. Even the album art does that. You look at it and it says, you know, Primeval Obsession. If you flip it upside down, Obsession reads as Detachment.
Yeah.
Which is so clever. That is fucking mint.
Yeah.
So I loved all the singles when we checked them out, and I still really love them now. Like they are phenomenal. I really like 501 as an intro track was like a totally new sounding thing that this band is already doing, and you know, it's a testament to what you already mentioned, how like this band, it's always something different, but it's still them. So I love that it's always a brand new experience, and that's really, really cool. The only thing I'll mention, I guess, the only other thing I'll mention about one of the singles is that scream that kind of turns into this DJ sample on Augmented.
Yeah.
Gets me every single time.
Yeah, we pointed that out in the reaction. We mentioned that as well. That was just... When you hear that for the first time, I was like, did that just happen?
Yeah, what
Like, did they just do that?
Yeah.
Gnarly stuff.
But even now, I listen to that song again, and I'm like, yeah! Like, that's one of the parts I'm looking forward to. Mm-hmm. As for, you know, the songs that, you know, the other ones, I really like that, you know, on something like, I think it's What We Want. I believe it's What We Want, yes. So, it's that song is in a lot of ways a recapitulation of the stuff that they do in What We Know, which is, once again, the fact that the two halves relate to each other.
Yep.
It not only is it really clever, it's really cool they're able to take this riff concept and motif and rework it to still be referential but still be new. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool. They do get really experimental with the stuff that, like, you know, the acoustic stuff happening in the middle of the album. There was a song, I think it might be My Primeval Obsession. Yeah, that one very much so sounds like a Tool song with some acoustic twang in it. Mm-hmm. That's what I got from that track.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening to this, I'm like, this is.
I think you're gonna get a lot of inspiration from a lot of places listening to an album like this, because they're pulling from a lot of inspiration too. Yeah. When we were reacting, almost every video we reacted to, I was hearing Mudvayne all over the place, and I didn't even think about that listening to the album today. Actually, you know what? I think I might have at the very beginning, but after that, it didn't even cross my mind again. But it's there. It's definitely there. That inspiration, that influence is there for sure.
It is really cool that you can really distinctly see like the broader influences. I think this album overall, the broader stroke of influence is Mudvayne. I'd say T-God was more so Slipknot, and the first record was more so Korn. Yeah, that's a broad stroke though, because there's so many in there. Like there's Tool in here, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I think the atmospheric stuff they do on this album is really, really cool and interesting. And after I did a few listens, and I was able to start picking out relations between the halves of the album. And I think that is one big thing that'll be fun for reviewing with, is the more you listen to it, the more you can start to... And that is also a big thing that gives it more replay value, is that there's more stuff to discover, more connections to make, more things to put together, which is really, really
You gotta
cool.
kind of be a detective, but in a fun way. It's like solving a mystery in a sense.
Yeah, which there is a story. I know the general base of the concept, but I guess it remains to be discussed because they've had videos about the lore and stuff for the other two albums, so I assume we're gonna get that for this one too and learn what exactly is happening here.
Fair enough. Anyways, guys, that's it for our first impressions of these new releases. And like I said, we're going to review Primeval Obsession Detachment by Tala. So we're going to listen to it as much as we can for an entire week, and we'll be back in a week to give you guys our full and final review of the album. So be sure to come back and check that out. But for now, leave your thoughts down below. Let us know what you guys thought of today's releases or anything else that you might have listened to today. Sound off down below. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Keep those heads banging.